Hello, friends. Welcome to Tabletop tonight, the Star Wars edition. It's Tatooine Tuesday. This is something I used to do in the mornings earlier this year, but the schedule just hasn't worked out lately. But I wanted to bring this back because I obviously love Star Wars and I love reading and writing. And I've got a couple of books here that I'd like to read with you today. It's just something that I like to do outside of board gaming. I see Slackfish in the house. Thank you, Slackfish, for joining me. Michelle and I were wondering. It's like Slackfish wasn't there last night. We played Verdant. Really enjoyed that, and we were wondering what beer you drank last night. So hopefully you're doing well, friends. Again, thank you for joining me. My name's Ruel Gaviola, and I stream board games mainly here on Twitch, but every now and then I do different things like Tatooine Tuesday, where I share my love of Star Wars, whether it's games, mainly books, or what have you. So today I'm going to be reading an excerpt from the brand new Star Wars Ronin, a Visions novel. So I have not, unfortunately, gotten a chance to watch any of the new Star Wars things that they did, the anime stuff. They just recently put that out. I've not had a chance to watch it yet. So, but I am. But this book has come out based on that series or from one of the animes that have been released. So I'm looking forward to this. I mean, the whole like Ronin and samurai mythology has always been super cool. At least in my opinion, I really dig stuff like Lone Wolf and Cub and other games like that. Like my even though it's an abstract game, I love the game Samurai by Reiner Knizia. But I'll be reading chapter one of this. This is now available for pre-order. You can get that right there at the link. And I'm also gonna. It comes out October 12th, so a couple of weeks. And then I'm also gonna continue Star Wars Thrawn. We started this a while ago, and we've gotten through chapter 9, so we'll actually be reading chapter 10 today. So let me know what you're eating and or drinking, because we start off all our stream snacks, or all our live streams with talk about stream snacks. I just had I had a burger and fries for lunch today, and I didn't finish the fries. So I snacked on a little bit of that right before I went on air. Michelle's out and about. She'll be home soon, and then we'll have dinner after this. We'll figure I'll stream for about an hour. We'll just hang out and chat. GB Glazer's in the house. Thank you for joining me, friend. Good to see you here. I know Amanda Panda was just streaming. I don't know if she's still streaming with Bonzinator and Kestrel. They're playing the Loop from Pandasaurus, which is really I really enjoy that game. They were basically learning it on the fly while they're on the stream. I was able to help them get. There's actually Tom Posh was there. He was helping them a lot, and I was able to help them with a couple of rules. But that game is really really good. I definitely a top 10 for me this year so far. That the two that come off straight off the top of my head for top games this year are the Loop and I just forgot the name, Cascadia. Cascadia is another one which I was able to play with my friend Jake Michaels earlier today at lunchtime. I joined him at the Good Time Society. He hosted a game of Cascadia. It was just the two of us as two-player Tuesday. It was even that I played at 2, 3, and 4. I love them at all counts, and actually I've soloed it as well. 1 through 4 players, outstanding game. It's a tile laying game. It takes the Calico like I guess formula and takes it to another level. And then Michelle and I last night played Verdant, which is the next one that I feel like that might even take Cascadia to another level. It's definitely more puzzly, but I like Cascadia so much because of the theme and also the hexagon tiles. Whereas Verdant, and the art is beautiful, Beth Sobel again, but it's instead of tiles like hexagon tiles, it is four-sided cards, just regular playing card size. So Cypher says, I'm on a late work call, so you're muted, but I'm eating a takeout burrito and a Crikey IPA. If I'm on mute, hopefully you catch this. Yay on the burrito. And Crikey, I've never heard of Crikey IPA, Slackfish. I had a burrito recently. Actually, when I got back from Gen Con, the first thing I had, actually, there's the two meals I had first from Gen Con. I went to Chop Shop, which is our local, like, it's a franchise. They sell salads. Being on the road for 10 days, I didn't eat many fresh fruits or vegetables, I'm ashamed to say. But I went to Chop Shop, and they make fresh salads, and they boxed it up for me, took it home. Oh, chef's kiss. It was really good. Levi, hi, thanks for joining us, friend. Good to see you on here. I'm just getting ready for Tatooine Tuesday. I'll be reading from little excerpts from both these books. Thrawn, this is a classic. It's been out for many years. Timothy Zahn. Love this book. It's the second time or actually probably the third time I'm reading through it. We're on chapter 10 there. And then we have this new one. If you're just joining us, this is Star Wars, a Ronin, a Visions novel based on the recent anime that was released on Disney Plus. This one I'm excited to check out. This is now on pre-order. I dropped the link earlier. I'll drop it again. There it is right there. You can pre-order it now. It'll be out in October 12th, they said. Yep, October 12th. So I was talking about return from Gen Con. The first thing I ate was a salad. The second thing I ate, and I was looking at Slackfish here, I had a burrito. Had to have a burrito. I did have Mexican food. Was it St. Louis? Yes, I had Mexican food in St. Louis, and I did have food at Gen Con in Indy. And, you know, just, I'm a Southern California guy. My theory has always been Mexican food's always better when it's closer to the border, and we were pretty close to the border. And the food was fine in St. Louis and Indy, but there's nothing like being back at home here in Southern California. So I actually just went to my local Alberto's, which is just a little chain of fast food, Mexican food restaurants. But they are fast food, not in the sense of like Taco Bell, but like fast food in the sense of closer to authentic Mexican food. It's wonderful. I love it. Levi, the dual episode of Visions was fantastic. See, I need to watch that. I'm not subscribed to Disney Plus right now. And here's why. I was gifted a year-long sub last year for Disney Plus and absolutely loved it, enjoyed it. And I just let it lapse. I totally forgot. I think it expired last month in August. And I just, there's just so many things that we stream on. We got Netflix, Amazon, all that stuff. And I just forgot about Disney Plus. And I've missed What If, which I've heard mixed reviews. I know Rado is not a fan of it. He was talking about that last week. But other friends of mine who are Marvel fans love it. So I'm curious to see how that is. I remember the What If comic books from back in the day, and I really enjoyed them. Actually, me and my brothers really enjoyed those. So I want to watch that on Disney Plus. And also, I never finished Loki. I got in through the first two episodes, maybe, and I enjoyed them, just never finished it. But then now with the Star Wars anime stuff, I need to resubscribe, so I'll be doing that soon. Levi says, one of the few things I miss about living in California. Oh, great Mexican food. If you don't mind me asking, where did you live in California? Was it southern, northern? There's definitely a different style of Mexican food. Like northern California, you get around the Bay Area, they have those big burritos with tons of rice, beans, and so forth. And it's the Mission burrito, right? Which I like. But for Mexican food, I want Southern California. I want street tacos. I want to go to my local taco guy or person right there. They've got a big spit of rotating with al pastor. They carve it with a machete. To me, that is the best. I love the type of tacos where it's been marinated. And you get the little pina, the pineapple. You get a little bit of that on your tacos. Oh, nothing like in the world. I love it. And some of the ones that are here, Southern California, the one I think of is Leo's. That one is very close to just as good, if not better. I might even, I don't know if I'll go that far, but it's just as good as anything I've had in Mexico as far as tacos go. I'm going to hydrate, folks. Hydrate with me. I'll probably stream for like an hour or so. I'm just going to hang out with y'all, chat. I'm going to read some Star Wars books, and we'll have a good time. May the force be with you, as we shall say here. Raised in Central California. Nice. Awesome. I lived in Santa Barbara for many years. A beautiful, beautiful town. I went to UC Santa Barbara, go Gauchos, and I ended up living there for years afterwards. I could not afford it any longer because that town is crazy expensive, but such a cool, like, just laid back beach town. It is a tourist town, but there are really cool pockets of, the locals I got to know there over the years. I'm still friends with many of them, who are like, even some of them that were born and raised there, just good people. Real, just chill atmosphere. Definitely fits my personality. It's very laid back. And sure enough, years after I moved, I've moved away. I hear they have a game store now, right there on State Street, which is the main strip on town. So I still need to visit that game store out there. Not the Central Coast, Central Valley. Got it south of Fresno. Okay, yes, San Joaquin Valley. I've also been there. Been to Fresno a couple of times. I have good friends that are from Bakersfield. So yeah, cool. Yeah, I always get mixed up Central California and the Central Coast. Yeah, y'all hear those sirens? I just hear a bunch of sirens out there. Okay, they're gone. Hopefully nothing in my neighborhood, but anyways, hope you're doing well, friends. Let's get into it. I want to read part of Star Wars Ronin, a Visions novel. Now, this is going to be, it's on pre-order right now. I just set up the link. Put the link in chat. Let's move over. Hey, there it is. Look at this. Got all fancy. I've got my reading screen here. So these are just images from Star Wars. The website, they have them on their website. Just hopefully it's not a copyright infringement thing. If they do, whatever. It's on StarWars.com. So today I'm reading a Ronin, a Visions novel by Emma Miko Candid. I always love the Star Wars books. They come up. It's just like see the movie. Wah. You can all hear that music, right? And of course, they have a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So I'm going to read chapter 1 for y'all, just as an excerpt, just to give you a little feel for the novel. And if you would like to order it, please check out the link that I've included in chat. At the far edge of the galaxy, a lone wanderer roams the outer rim. In defiance of Imperial edict, the Ronin dares to wear a certain blade on his sash. None know his name nor what he seeks, only that death and disaster follow in his footsteps. No doubt the gods themselves have cursed his forgotten name. Star Wars Ronin, a Visions novel. So right off the bat, just that little introductory blurb, I'm thinking man with no name, lone samurai, even like, the Clint Eastwood movies, right? That man with no name based on the classic samurai stuff. I'll shut up now. I'm just going to read. Chapter 1. 2 months after the Ronin arrived on the outer rim world of Ginbara, he ran out of credits. This concerned him less than it did B556, who took every opportunity to scold. Look at it this way, he told his trundling companion. No need to worry about where we'll sleep. A man with no coin had no reason to pace his trek in terms of outposts and inns. He could pay for no bed. Thus he would wander to his heart's content, and the woodland vistas of Gambara did reward the wandering. Vast stretches of pine were interrupted only by patches of farmland, claimed by settlers rebuilding their lives far from the scars war. Far from the scars war had left on worlds nearer the galaxy's core. The Ronin slept that night under a small lean-to that a local woodcutter had told him of the day before, when he passed the old man's hut on his way into the mountains. The mountains, sir? Are you sure? The woodcutter had said as he sucked his teeth. They sat on the veranda of the man's hut and shared a pot of stale tea. It had been the last in the Ronin's tin, but he offered it freely in exchange for hot water and company. You'll want to follow this road up past the ridge. It will take you to the village in the valley, if it's still there. An ominous thing to say. To the Ronin, it suggested he was on the right course. B5 saw the look in his eye. The droid's own eye flashed from red to blue under his thatched hat as he murmured a warning. The woodcutter, who had no facility with binary, mistook the dome-headed astromech's sound for nervousness. He grinned. There were 4 villages up there, little droid, when I first built my humble hut. Then there were 3, then 2, now just the one. Word is they angered a spirit that doesn't take kindly to settlers. Yes, yet he thinks the spirits don't mind him, said a voice in the Ronin's ear. Mountains are different, the Ronin said. The woodcutter, who thought he had been spoken to, nodded sagely. B5 swiveled a baleful eye to fix on the Ronin in what was likely supposed to be a glare. The Ronin pretended not to notice it, but he did remind himself to be careful. On occasion, when in the company of others, his responses to the voice were dismissed. On other occasions, they were not, and this could go quite badly. If the village in the mountains still stood, he would be among new people soon, and they sounded like a superstitious lot. The following morning, He stretched the cold out of his limbs as he rose and ate a half-rationed stick from his pouch, the last remaining. The chewing was slow going, with the ache. He rubbed at the line of old metal that supported his jaw from ear to ear. B5 grumbled at him all the while, calling him old and simple besides. Surely, the droid said, his master remembered that he had the means to acquire enough credits to fund his fool journey until it killed him, or at least enough to purchase a more up-to-date prosthetic. Yet he hoarded his bounty to the point that some shamefully mundane evil would doubtless get him first. Perhaps the chill, or infection, or worse. And hey, friends, we're going to take a quick break. I want to thank Tail Wagging Games for the raid. Thank you for raiding Tail Wagging Games. I hope you're doing well. You all were playing Isle of Cats earlier. I hope that game went well. I'm sure you played some other games as well. Thank you for joining me, friends. If this is your first time here, my name is Ruel Gaviola. This is Tabletop Tonight. I've got the raid hat just on for my friends at Tail Wagging Games. Appreciate it. My hat is off to you. And Dare Drinker, thank you for resubscribing. Wow, you've been subscribed for 12 months. Appreciate the support, Dare Drinker. Really do. Beyond Dead 13 is here. Tao Bao Bao, thank you for hanging out. A whole year, yes. Dare Drinker, much love to you. I really do appreciate the support, friend. Talk about stream snacks. We talked about it earlier. Y'all can feel free to talk about them now. What I'm doing today, it is Tatooine Tuesday. I love Star Wars, as you can tell by my shirt. I'm reading excerpts from 2 books. We are going to be continuing the Tale of Thrawn. I'll be on chapter 10 in that. That's after I read chapter 1 of the brand new Star Wars Ronin, a Visions novel. This is based on the recent anime that was released through Disney Plus. And this book, Star Wars Visions Ronin, you can check out. Whoops. That's not what I want to do. There. I'm such a pro at this, folks. What I want to do is drop this link in chat. You can find more information. You can pre-order the book. It'll be out October 12th. Let me check my notes. October 12th. But you can pre-order it now. And yeah, Star Wars books, folks. Love them. If you do too, welcome. And, hang out with me. I'm going to be reading a couple of excerpts for y'all. Thanks again for the raid, Tailwagon. Let's get back to the book, shall we? We are here. Star Wars Ronin. Okay, where did I leave off? Okay. Yet he hoarded his bounty to the point that some shamefully mundane evil would doubtless get him first. Perhaps the chill, or infection, or worse. You know I would be more foolish to try to sell one of these, said the Ronin, patting the treasures hidden in the folds of his robes. Where would I say I got it? Then what do you plan to do with your winnings other than collect them? The voice asked, rather bitterly at that. He couldn't give her an answer, not one she could stand. Moved by a reflexive guilt, he glanced at the inner lining of the long hooded vest he wore as a cloak. The robe had weighed the same for at least a year now, when he had last added to the collection within. The crystals sewn into the seam glinted as if in greeting, letting off red flickers that illuminated his fingers, elated by the promise of his attention. They wanted him to touch them, to take them, and give them use. He let the robe fall closed, crystals untouched. Here was his reason, even if she didn't care for it. So long as he carried them, they could bring no further harm. Outside of what harm you commit, she said. If you wish me dead, he said as he stepped out on the needle-strewn path between the pines. You have only to point the way. Go to your little village, then. Experience told him that she would provide no further advice. After all, she would doubtless prefer that whatever he met in the village be the end of him rather than the other way around. The chill of the night bled into spring as the sun rose. The Ronin stopped on the ridge overlooking the last village left in the mountains, B556 at his side. In the distance, at the far end of a pine-ridden valley, the swooping lines of a crashed ship gleamed whitely. Some sleek, gallant vessel that had met its ignoble end face first in the sloping mountainside. Its silver hull shone like a star under the fierce morning light. Excuse me. Poetic, wouldn't you say? Said the voice. I would say it's broken, said the Ronin. B5 whined, disappointed. Doing what again? I don't know what you're talking about. B5 sighed as magnificently as binary allowed. Together, they set off down the path to the last village in the mountains. Somewhere within it, they would find the Ronin's quarry, or they would find nothing. A cowardly part of him hoped for the latter. Perhaps it was this part that made him slow as they reached the last rise before the village proper, where a tea house stood beside an ancient bending pine. A troubling odor wafted out of the structure into the road, despite B5's scold. Didn't they have somewhere to be? The Ronin let it lure him to the door. He found the shopkeep, a tidy Solistan fellow whose rounded cheeks had grayed with age, seated on the clean-swept floor, fiddling with a rectangular power droid's wiring and bemoaning its temperamental nature. The Ronin's shadow startled the shopkeep, who scrambled upright to study the stranger. His wary black eyes flicked up to take in the Ronin's intimidating height, draped in road-stained garb, and down to the two scabbards hung conspicuously at his waist. "You look entirely evil," she said. The Ronin frowned. The shopkeep flinched. "No, not you," said the Ronin. Then he cursed, which didn't help. "Your power droid. It's leaking. I could smell it from the road. I can fix it for you." The shopkeep remained wary until B5 peered out from behind the Ronin's cloak. The droid greeted the shopkeep and apologized for his companion's dreadful appearance all in one go. "Feed him," said B5, "and he'll fix any droid you point him to." Even 10 years ago, the Ronin might have argued for dignity's sake. Was he to be some man or a beggar, exchanging menial repairs for menial returns? Now he knew himself with the humility of age. When the shopkeep agreed, he simply asked where the man kept his tools. The voice said nothing, though her impatience weighed on his mind like the threat of incoming rain. She would have preferred he throw himself boldly into whatever she had lying in wait. He preferred to make himself useful. The power droid proved an easy enough fix. The Ronin had only to work off the stained front of its chassis and reach around its cabling to identify the leak. His fingers came away silty with exhaust debris that had disrupted the pathway of the power coupling. He asked the shopkeep if there was a sizable transmitter, or perhaps a chronometer he could bear to live without. The shopkeep returned with an ancient hollow projector, which the Ronin deftly dismantled. He found he only needed one of the projector's 2 safety sealants to properly contain the leak, and had the whole thing cleaned and fitted back together within the hour. "Mortifying, isn't it?" said the shopkeeper to B5 as they watched the Ronin work. "I could have repaired an astromech like yourself in my sleep, back during the war. Still could, perhaps. But they never asked the specialist to look after our own power droids, and here I am, utterly helpless when it stops warming my tea." When the Ronin stood, the shopkeep ushered him out into the shaded seating area, just outside the tea house. He promised to provide a proper pot of his most exquisite blend, which was even now steeping on the humming power droid. "To think I mistook you for a bandit." The Ronin merely nodded thanks. From this vantage, he could see the entirety of the village proper, a humble affair mostly comprising 2 rows of wooden slat and thatch-roofed houses reinforced with the discarded Durasteel remnants of ships that had fallen in the war. These were lined neatly across from each other, aside from the handful of other outlying structures, and a pair of simple, unfortified watchtowers. A grand storehouse occupied the center of town, hung with banners and protected by an old ship door. Most of the villagers worked the rice fields that sustained them, while some met in the central square before the storehouse to discuss this or that spot of business, and children ran cackling through the streets. A peaceful tableau, the sort only delicately held this far into the outer rim. "Peace is scarce and dearly bought," she said. This time, the Ronin managed to hold his tongue, though B5 detected a twitch in his lips. The droid beeped irritably, for which he earned a scold from the shopkeep while the man delivered the tea. B5 primly informed the shopkeep that it was rude to say things others couldn't understand. "Thank you," the shopkeep chuckled in the Empire's tongue. He thought himself chided. He poured an expertly steeped cup for the Ronin, who accepted the brew and found himself pleased by the local peculiarity, oh my gosh, of the aroma. Pardon my tongue twist, folks. Faintly sweet with pine. "How did you come to be traveling the countryside on foot, sir?" asked the shopkeep. "A certain someone is always after me about exercise," said the Ronin. B5 whistled hotly. The shopkeep chuckled. "Of course you're right. He should listen to your sage advice." The Ronin was inclined to weigh in on B5's smug silence, but his attention twitched away. He let his eyes glide after what pulled his mind and was drawn toward an oncoming rumble, echoing from the mountains. The source of the sound soon tore down the path the Ronin had walked only an hour before. An enormously thick and armored vessel, one that had been built for war. It thundered down the mountain path, past the tea house toward the village. No branches snapped as it plowed through the trees. It had come this way before. The tea house trembled in its wake, and the shopkeep cursed its passage as rattles as his teacups. The sound of the vessel's approach soon reached the town. The figures in the field dropped their tools. Adults grasped at children as they fled toward their homes, sheltering the young with their own bodies. Scarce peace, indeed. Bandits. They've been hiding in a desert village all across the mountain, the shopkeep said, low and apologetic as he ducked behind a wall, peeking down at his neighbors below. Soldiers. Ex-soldiers. Or the remnants of the Sith troops. We don't know. Does it matter? That explains what had happened to the other mountain villages. Angry spirits were, in the Ronin's experience, much harder to come by than bandits. Will you not go to them, she asked. She meant to tease him. Goad him, more like. It would suit her if he ran toward danger the second impulse told him to. But impulse would so likely see him dead before he accomplished his goal. Moreover, he didn't know if this was the sort of bandit who had earned his effort, or if the greater danger lay in wait within the village. Soon enough he would see. B5 whined lowly, as if his master's thoughts were audible. The Ronin couldn't be certain whether B5 wanted him to go now, or if he feared his master going at all. Perhaps he wished for some impossible alternative course of action to present itself. B5 did hate to see the Ronin bleed, and it was all but certain that today he would. Below, the armored vessel came to a looming halt in the village square, doubly as tall as any of the houses. There, it opened its doors. Don't forget to hydrate, friends. Three slabs of metal broke from its side and extended forward into ramps down which the bandits marched. They wore scraps of discarded armor, blaster-scarred white helmets, shoulder plates, greaves, and little else but loincloths, bandanas, and armbands to mark themselves to one another. They fancied themselves mighty for their nakedness. Such brave men who stormed down the street to kick open wooden doors and drag out crying villagers. The voice chuckled. The Ronin gritted his teeth and sipped his tea. Sir, it's dangerous. Please, wait inside, the shopkeep urged, an arm slung around B5's head, as if in fear the astromech would skid off. Indeed, two bandits had turned their eyes up toward the tea house. The Ronin frowned down at them. The distance was too great for them to properly fix on his silhouette, and he had no fear of bandit blasters. In any case, it was not these bandits who held tight to the edge of his attention that drove him to study all before him. It was some other presence, a hidden thing, tensed and poised to strike. If the Ronin hadn't seen his quarry, he suspected it was because he had not seen them yet. Such was the scene below. The bandits gathered the villages together in the dusty square, the better to dispose of them should they so decide. Every last member was caught, dragged, and made to huddle together in a display of abject helplessness. Thank you for the fine welcome, crowed a bandit wearing the orange pauldron of a commander. Now it's time to pay up. We've come to collect this year's taxes. The long-haired bandit beside him leered. That was an order. Which one of you's the chief? A figure emerged from within the crowd, small, lithe, and wild-haired. A child, no older than 10. He walked forward, posture stiff, and a clear voice declared, I am the current village chief, and you've taken enough. The commander leaned back, appraising the child. You? I don't know you. You're the chief's son. He spat, running away and leaving his village to a child. What a coward your father must be. He broke into laughter, and the other bandits laughed with him. Up above, the shopkeep whispered to the Ronin, sweat beading his brow. The village chief is sick, he said, voice tight with anger and with fear. The boy, he's too brave. So valiant, a bandit howled in the square below. You've taken enough, another bandit simpered. Aha, you're adorable, kid. "A brave speech, boy," said the commander when the laughter had died down. "But a man's word is only as good as his weapon, I'm afraid. Now where's yours? Hmm?" The boy chief met the commander's leer head on. That alone nearly made the Ronin stir from his seat. Then the boy chief's arm shot straight in the air. As it flew up, 2 shots fired, one from either side of the village. The Ronin tracked the trajectory of each bolt. One had come from a rooftop near the square, another from one of the watchtowers overlooking the village. On the rooftop stood a 3-eyed Gran in light armor, carrying a rifle with a bayonet blade, flat teeth bared. Up in the tower, a well-wrapped Tusken, already taking their next aim with a long sniper rifle. Gran and Tusken each fired another bolt, and another, rapid and precise. With each blast, a bandit fell. "Well done, guards, I leave the rest to you," the boy chief cried, and he dashed out of the square, leading the villagers in a herd. Not a single straggler was left behind. They had practiced this evacuation. "What a clever bunch of mice trapping the cats," the voice said. "Don't be rude," said the Ronin. The shopkeep was too nervously enthralled by the violence to mind his guests' muttering. Below, more hired bodyguards burst out of their hiding places, bounty hunters by the look of their sturdy, mismatched gear. A bug-eyed silver protocol droid with a blaster-blackened chassis stalked out of an alley, their rotary blaster cannon mowing down the bandits in the square. A lean, scaled Trandoshan hurtled down the main drag, taking advantage of his long arms and long weapons, a blade and a ninganata to carve through any bandit who dared cross his path. A floating dome of a cockpit exploded out from a pile of crates, piloted by a dexterous Doug crouched in its center. A blade hung from each of the 5 insectile legs sprouting from the drone's underbelly, and it whirled in a storm of slashes as its pilot howled a battle cry. A stray bolt lanced up from the fight, and caught a support beam of the tea house. The shopkeep gasped, appalled in the midst of victory. The Ronin, meanwhile, could only frown. Something on the wind kept his attention, squared not on the bodyguards, nor the bandits, desperately ducking for cover, but on the bandits' massive vessel. He felt the voice's attention settle there, too. For all the violence the bodyguards had unleashed, that lurking tension remained. It bled into the Ronin's limbs, winding even ever tighter in each of them as a hatch on the bandit vessel's flat roof slid open. From that hatch rose a figure, carried by a lift. Her dark cloak and veil hid her from the glaring sun as she stood atop the vessel, a short staff held loosely in her grasp. The Ronin shivered at the sight of her. "Well," said the voice, "run along now." The tea tasted sour at the back of his throat. His fingers tightened minutely on this teacup. He had no reason to doubt what he saw. Yet something held him still. Perhaps that it had been a good year, at least, since he last faced one of his quarry. Perhaps that he did not yet have proof of what he faced. After all, he didn't recognize the veiled figure's stance. He felt that he should have. "As if I've ever lied to you. What else do you think she could be?" He didn't know, yet neither did he move. The world turned without him. The Trandoshan now stood in the square amidst a scattering of bodies, his blade and naginata at the ready as he turned his sharp-toothed maw to face the bandit's vessel. "Surrender," he said to the bandit standing over them all. "Do so, and we might just spare your life." The bandit raised her staff to her shoulder, the sneer carried in her snarl. "You're confused." "What?" the Trandoshan growled. "You'll surrender," her head tilted back. "Although I'll kill you anyway." The bandit had barely finished when the protocol droid at the edge of the square let loose a stream of blaster fire from its rotary cannon alongside a string of curses. In the blink of an eye, the bandit unfurled her weapon. From the end of her staff, 6 red blades of light extended outward in a deadly flower. When she spun the staff, it formed a white-red shield of light that deflected every last one of the blasts. "Red lightsabers! She's one of the Sith!" the protocol droid shouted. More than anything, it was a warning. The bodyguards following a cascade of blast fire had an air of panic. They no longer fought to win, but to survive, no doubt driven by memories of the war and the fiendish devastation that followed each Sith warrior. The bandit deflected every bolt, her lightsaber parasol a whirl of color. One shot ricocheted off her shield and screeched through the sky straight into the tea house. The Ronin moved at a speed he hadn't asked from himself in years. In a blink of an eye, he no longer sat before a low table, but stood beside the curved pine in front of the tea house. When he glanced behind him, he saw smoke and rubble. The blast had carved a hole straight through the tea house wall. The shopkeep had fallen back, and thankfully, the Ronin did not smell singed flesh. The scorch of metal now, that was a different matter. Beside the shopkeep lay B556, twitching on the floor, hat knocked askew. Blue shivers of electricity washed over the droid's surfaces. An old heat crept up from the Ronin's gut to his head, matched only by an accompanying chill. He had delayed too long. "I told you, didn't I?" she whispered, although there was a bite to it. Whatever she felt toward him, B5 was another matter. Sir, what should we..." The shopkeep stammered, too shocked to hide behind his remaining walls, let alone flee into the mountains. "Shopkeep," said the Ronin, "do you think you can repair him?" He picked up the tea kettle from where it had fallen on the floor, as the shopkeep nodded uncertainly. "Make sure my partner is fully operational by the time this water boils." The shopkeep looked from the Ronin to B5, large eyes and blinking. He nodded once, then again. Yes, of course." "A bit of the commander in you yet, I see," she said as the Ronin turned to leave the tea house. He found he lacked the stomach to reply. And that is chapter 1, folks, of Star Wars Ronin, a Visions novel. Want to thank y'all for hanging out. I was reading this. I mean, I love the scenery. I just love this opening scene of, this Ronin, the man with no name. And, it's that classic story of I feel like he's getting dragged into something that he's not part of, right? And he may be caught between factions. We'll see. I mean, this is just the opening, but already I like the his attachment to his droid, right? Very classic Star Wars. You got this innocent shopkeep, or maybe not so innocent, I don't know, just sort of, again, stuck in the middle of this war or these things going on. So that is chapter 1, Ronin, a Visions novel. You can check it out right here. Check the link, and you can pre-order now. Now, I did realize, friends, that about halfway through, I was like, oh man, I'm hungry. I don't know. Did y'all hear my stomach growl? It's growled. I haven't eaten dinner yet. I forgot that this is around my dinner time, and I thought I could read this plus a chapter of Thrawn, but I'm gonna save. Let's save Thrawn for next Tatooine Tuesday. I want to bring this back. I don't know if it'll always be at 5 p.m. Pacific. We will see as the weeks go by, but we will get through this. I'm going to save this till next time because my stomach is growling. I am hungry. I do want to thank y'all for joining me for Star Wars Ronin. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. Let's find someone to raid, shall we? I don't know if the brothers have gone. Are they streaming today? Let's see. Let me pull up Twitch here. And the creator dashboard. Oh, that's my stomach again. If y'all can, I don't know if, hopefully my mic's not picking that up and making y'all hungry too. Let's raid. Hey, Amanda Panda is still, they're still playing games. So let's go over there, say hello to Amanda. Thank you for joining me for Tatooine Tuesday. And I will see y'all again real soon. I've got at least 1 or 2 more games this week planned, probably just 1 more. And then if you haven't heard, I'm going to be on the Dice Tower next week as part of their Autumn Spectacular. So join me for that. Let me drop a couple of more links. Rado, I'll be live streaming with him tomorrow at noon. That is the last show. We're actually going to be talking about, oh, that's actually episode 6. Oh, we're going to be on episode like 9. I need to update this. We'll be talking about top 10 upcoming Kickstarter games. So games that have been announced but not yet launched on Kickstarter. We'll be talking about those. Good Looking Kickstarters. That's the other Kickstarter show that I do with Becca Scott. I just recorded an episode, and that'll be out next Wednesday. And you can check out the previous episode right there. Find me on all the socials right there and all the things. Let's go raid Amanda. Thank you, friends, for joining me. Have a great night. I'll see you soon and talk to you later. Bye now.